What is special about Chinese gardens? Imagine creating a landscape of your own and put it 500 steps away from your bedroom. Yeah, this is the idea we're talking about, roughly. Suzhou is more than 2,500 years old. It's an ancient city formed by the water. You can see canals and rivers everywhere. It has been a prosperous city for more than 1,000 years, with its incredible trade, commerce, agriculture, craftsmanship, and of course, Jiangnan culture.
And Suzhou Garden is the private classic gardens that were normally built and owned by scholars in ancient China. Its history dates back to the 6th century BC, when it was first established as the capital city of the state of Wu. Inspired by the hunting garden of the king of Wu's day, the private garden started emerging in the 4th century and finally reached its climax in around the 18th century. In the Qing dynasty, there are around 130 different private gardens in total here in Suzhou, and nowadays there are around 50 remain, and 19 of them are open to the public. When walking into a garden, the first thing to understand is its layout. Normally there is a pond at the center of the garden, and the central building of the garden is next to the pond, which is normally a library or a study, and the other structures like the halls, pavilions, bridges are all arranged around the central building and the pond, which also serve as an observation point or shield from the sun and rain. These structures also help to divide the garden into several different scenes or landscapes, which led to our second point, the layers of the scenery in the garden. The Chinese garden is like a three-dimensional Chinese painting of Shanshui school. When walking in the garden, each step will lead to a new painting-like scene. This is achieved by the techniques like borrowing, exchanging, and framing the scenery. Structures like bridge, halls, stones are carefully designed and placed in the right position to increase the leisure of the scenery.
From near to far, from low to high, from dark to bright, from concealment to surprise.
The Hu stones, the rocks, are used to mimic the mountains and hills in the nature, while the pond is used to mimic the waters like the lake and rivers. These two elements combined together creates a contrast of high and low in altitude as well. The other thing cannot be neglected is the calligraphs in the garden. It subtly expresses the spiritual world of the owner. Normally it's about the views of life, the universe, and his own philosophy. We are now in a humble administrator's garden. This is one of the UNESCO heritage sites and most famous classical garden in Suzhou, also the largest. The original owner of this garden is a disappointed officer. The calligraphs in this garden also tell some story about him. The central building of the garden is the Hall of Distant Fragrance. Simply speaking, this is the complement of the lotus grove in the pond in front of the hall. But Chinese officials in ancient times are never simple. He was actually using the lotus as a metaphor for himself. He was finally away from the corruption of the officialdom and stay honorable, just like the lotus grows beauty out of the stinking pond mud. Another clue is from the Sitting with Whom pavilion. The name Sitting with Whom pavilion is cited from the Chinese poet Suzhou, and the original sentence is Sitting with whom, the moon, the breeze, and myself. 与谁同坐，明月清风舞。Do you feel that the kind of pride and loneliness that's hidden in the heart of the owner Wang Xiancheng? During his career as an official, he was framed up twice by his own colleagues and was sent to the prison once because of that. In ancient China, the scholars, the group of most well-educated people, always have a dilemma in their mind: to serve in the royal court for their ambitions, or to escape into the nature for their internal peace. The Suzhou Gardens demonstrated to us how they responded to this dilemma, as a solution or a compromise. It's a crafted nature in a populous neighborhood. It's a gateway place from their duties and ambitions. To me, the Suzhou Gardens are not just architecture or horticulture. It's a poetic lifestyle. It's a kind of aesthetics that value one's internal spiritual world. It's a beautiful balance between the humankind and the nature. It's a way of being in this complicated world. I hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to seeing you again. Bye bye!